You know, the best kept secret among evangelicals is that it is far easier to win people to Christ, far easier to plant churches, far easier to multiply cell groups. I don't mean a little bit farther easier, but like 100 times easier, and I'm not exaggerating, if we will do what? How? Like the apostles did. Make disciples, do evangelism, and make disciples like the apostles did. Now, does that sound simplistic? It is. And I thank God for that. But it's true. It's true. It's borne out throughout history, in apostolic times, and today around the world. It is borne out. Now, I've just got a few minutes to explain to you how the apostles did it, okay? I'll try to be quick and make it easy to remember. We'll talk about the way they did evangelism, as to who they went to, their methods, and so forth. First of all, there are 5 things that they did, and for the most part, quite different from what the average evangelical church does. One is that they presented the living, risen Christ, not just telling truths about him. Now, to illustrate this, I need someone here, a young lady who looks like Mona Lisa. Let's say, oh, there she is. Where's Mona? Mona, come up here. Come running up here, would you? Wait, Mona Lisa. Yeah, oh. Now, I'm an art critic, okay? And I've been sent to the Louvre in Paris to examine the most famous painting in the world and come back and tell you, my friends, my fellow artists, what the Mona Lisa is like. I really want you to present her to you so you will really meet her. So I'm going to be very meticulous and careful. I'm going to measure the dimensions with my tape rule, write it down, and let's see. The magnifying glass analyze the pigment of the paint in this great painting by Leonardo da Vinci. And let's see, I write that down in my notebook. And let's see, eyes, 2. Hair, yes. I go back to you now. Can I introduce you to Mona Lisa? Huh? Oh, come on now. Have you met her? All right. Let's stop presenting Jesus that way by just telling facts about him. People need to meet the risen, living Christ. Did you know that the main point, the punchline of every witness they gave about Jesus in the book of Acts, what was the main point? His resurrection. He's alive. He's with us. Now, you can tell facts about him. And we have to do that. We will do that. But that's not the cutting edge to meet a seeker. That's not where you start. You must do it. We must all do it the way the apostles did. If you want to see a real movement for Christ, where hundreds or thousands come to Jesus, they must experience the risen Christ, right? And sense his presence. How do we do that? Well, of course, through baptism, the Lord's Supper, through loving fellowship, and through prayer for healing, prayer for each other, and that love for one another. And that is where the masses come to Jesus, not through the usual traditional evangelical way, which is quite rationalistic and theological. It's all true and good. Use it later on, but not to win people to Christ. Okay, Mona, I have a question for you. What do you think that Mona Lisa was thinking while she was sitting there with that wry half smile?
She was Italian, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's probably thinking something like, "Hey, Lindy, hurry up I don't want to sit in the sun all day.
No, good. Thank you, Mona. Oh, good. Okay, they presented the living, risen Christ. That's the first thing. The way they presented Christ, their message. Then they mobilized everyone to witness, not just a few professional evangelists, but they just helped everyone, and they made it easy. The ratio between the paid full-time evangelists or apostles and so forth and the lay workers was in every church planting movement around the world where that takes place. The ratio is extremely high for ordinary Christians. Are doing probably 95% of the evangelism, but they're being mentored, encouraged by, of course, by those that really have the evangelistic gifting, and so it's essentially, it's always a lay movement, okay, with a few of the more highly trained apostle types encouraging them, but it's of the people, all right. That's what the apostle did. Another one, who did they go to? Now this is importantissimo. You know what I mean? Okay. For Americans, stop trying to shove the camel through the eye of the needle. It's a killer. The average American church spends most of its evangelistic efforts on the camels. What are the camels? Anyone, what's a camel? What did Jesus say? Who? All right. By world standards, Americans, almost all of us, are a bunch of camels, okay? Except for some of the recent arrivals and refugees and so forth. But probably virtually everyone here is probably a camel. And now Jesus said it. Don't start throwing things at me. It's true. All over the world where I've seen, and I've got a lot of experience of just seeing these movements start and all, they have never started with the camels. Now, often a camel leads a movement, okay, highly educated, wealthy, all right, that's fine. And some camels do get through the eye of the needle. Jesus said they would. With God, all things are possible. But the movements start and are sustained among, well, as Jesus said, I came to preach the gospel to the poor. That's what he said. Not me. That's what Jesus said. And, he didn't start his broad public ministry in Jerusalem among the rich and powerful. Every time he went to Jerusalem, except when he was a kid, they tried to kill him, right? No, he started in Galilee with fishermen, people with calluses on their hands, despised tax collectors, and that sort of people. And that's true throughout church history. And that's true today. If you want to see a church planting movement, you go to the people who are receptive. Go to the people who really desperately want change. And normally that's the poorer, disenfranchised people. Right? Then also, what about the methods? They used whatever method fit. Don't get hung up on a method. And when we used to work in Honduras, and people would come down to help us, especially they heard the churches were multiplying, so they'd come down. And so many of them came down, and they had the final great method, and they tried to voice it off on us and our workers, and I had to hold them at arm's length because we found the method that worked. There was really no method. I mean, we just turned the people loose to talk about Jesus because they loved him and wanted their friends to know him, and that was what worked. Now, use a method that works. Don't get hung up on that. If you go back in history 100 years, most Americans lived on farms. And once a year, you'd get your neighbor to milk your cow for you. You'd go with your family 2-3 days to a camp meeting. Lots of shouting, lots of food, lots of prayer. And lots of good, hard-hitting preaching, okay? And thousands came to Christ. I come bring it up a little closer. 50 years ago, once a year, you'd have your special meetings. revival meetings. And the traveling evangelist would come. He'd only stay a week, though, because he only had 7 sermons. And there's a lot of good, solid, biblical, Christ-centered preaching. A lot of tears. A lot of people came to Christ. Thousands came to Christ. Now, and then since then, you look at the situation around the world in the last 50 years, there's been dozens of evangelistic approaches. Some are temporary fads. There's this, there's that. But you stand back and relax, let the dust settle, and look it all over. You find only one approach that has been absolutely consistent, universal, and that's to evangelize and make disciples the way the apostles did. It doesn't need a lot of money. It doesn't need a PhD. I'm not knocking that. I teach part-time in a seminary. I'm not knocking it, but it doesn't require that to sustain the movement. Just Christians who love Jesus, who love him enough to just see it happen. Let's see, I've got about 4 minutes left, and Stu, he asked me if I was going to do a role play. I wasn't planning to do it, and I've done it in my breakout session, but he said he thought it'd be, I will do it. It's to correct, we're going to correct. I hope I'm not fouling up the video too much. Okay, it's to correct the highly individualistic approach of evangelism of most Americans. I'm going to ask the people, let's see, you 6 people, if you just stand here in a little circle right here, real quick, and we're going to run through this. Here we go. And what's your name?
Johnny.
Johnny. Okay, Johnny's come to Christ, and among you, and these are his friends, you know, his Friday night girlfriend, his cousin, his next door mother and father. Oh, Johnny, these people that surround you, they look pretty bad, don't they? Pretty bad. So what do? Watch out for them. Hey, you're going to have all new friends in Christ. Now, everything new, they'll just drag you back in the world. You watch out for that. Okay, hey, he's got a new religion now. He thinks he's holier than we are. Close ranks against him. And they hate him. They hate me. Now listen, I want to be serious now. This is the way the Americans do it. Unless they've been to Verge. It is the way. Because we have an extremely individualistic view of evangelism and of people. I see Johnny as an isolated individual. How does God see him? He sees him as part of this group. Now, the first person I led to Christ in Honduras was a school teacher, Fabio. And I didn't physically remove him from his village, but physically, well, I did. I warned him, and I did, well, anyway, I don't have time to tell the whole story, but some of his former friends got their machetes at midnight, went to his house, broke in, and they killed him. They slew him. And I thought, oh, those bad, bad people. But whose fault was it? 100% my fault. I violated everything that Jesus taught about love and everything that the New Testament teaches about evangelism. Everything. Get back in the circle. Yeah, okay. Because what's the one thing the apostles did consistently before baptism when someone came to Christ? What's the one thing they did before baptism? Shout it out. Okay, the apostle, well, that was the case of the Christ and all, but after Pentecost, they went to the family. Always did when, you know, like Cornelius and the whole group was all, his friends were together there, a jailer, and then to his whole family, Lydia, and then to her whole family, Crispus, the synagogue group, the whole family. It's consistent. In other words, to do evangelism like the apostles did. Bring the seekers into a group of their own peers within their own social circle. Work within the circle. Don't pull them out of it. And my time is up. God bless you. Thank you. That's very good.